tell me what a SaaSBOOMi is all about. Why is there so much of passion?
Looking at SaaSBOOMi as to what it is today, it's just fantastic. Like it's a privilege to be a part of that community. What SaaS buying is all about, right? People in SaaS know that the buying cycle is going to be long. 1,500 founders, 90% of them are early stage.
And also, you're basically very important point on this. Everybody is busy there, coming in there. They try to be as social as possible. They listen to you. They go back. They have busy lives.
If you get a speaker slot, you kind of identify what you're going to speak about. You can't be about demos, about demoing a product.
The expectation is not to translate that into revenue, but mostly brand and exposure.
You can't even establish a brand there because it's so young, right? Even before the event, the social presence takes a lot more. Because once you build yourself up there, people are obviously wanting to go and meet you.
Correct.
So prepare for that. Have your calendar in place. Have the ability so that people can reach out to you way in advance. So preparation happens.
Let's get started, Ramesh. Morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Good.
Amazing green shirts, Ramesh.
Green for high performer.
Green for high performer. Love to have one of these with high performer tag. Let's see if that happens.
Sure.
But let's talk about what's happening, Ramesh.
Yeah. So how was your? You've been busy as well. What's been in the last couple of weeks?
There's no shortage of being busy. But I think one thing which I want to talk about today is basically the SaaSBOOMi and the other events we've been scouting to attend. Looks like the events are back. The charm of events, which were pre-COVID, things is back now, right? And you attended SaaSBOOMi.
Yeah.
I saw you like overwhelmed after the 2 days.
Oh God, that was tiring.
So let's talk about SaaSBOOMi, and let's also talk about events coming back.
Sure. I think you have a topic in hand. So I think she is excited talking about events coming back and a lot of more opportunities that open up in every event. With that, this is yet another episode of Reset to Zero, and which Sri and I love to talk anything under the sun. And today it is going to be all about events.
Amazing. So Ramesh, let's start with SaaSBOOMi, right? I know it's an amazing setup, right? It's been there for last 7 to 10 years. Slowly moved from a smaller set of 15, 20 people. It is now like, I was amazed to see 1,500 people attending SaaSBOOMi in Chennai, right? People flying in from UK, Singapore, probably a lot other places, right? US. So now, you tell me what a SaaSBOOMi is all about. Why is there so much of passion that Chennai,
there's
right?
One guy behind who probably started it off. I don't know if it was his dream, but Girish kind of had this whole thing of how about everyone in Chennai get into a room and talk everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Right? That's how he probably started. But looking at SaaSBOOMi as to what it is today, it's just fantastic. Like it's a privilege to be a part of that community, right? How often do you get 1,500 startups under a roof? Right? Think about the magnanimity, right? The hotel is overflowing with people.
Yeah.
Everyone you bump into is from the world of SaaS, right? It could be global SaaS, local SaaS, whatever. Everyone is building. Everyone is passionate about what they're doing. It was literally a market that everyone is trying to either sell or buy or listen, right? It's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And it's only SaaS. SaaSBOOMi is only SaaS. It's not about any other business. It's not like any industrial business that is also there. But Sri and I were there a couple of weeks back. It's brimming with activities, speaker sessions. You have deep dive sessions. At ITC where it was held, they had to open out four of these halls, Darbar halls or whatever that you call them, just full of people. I enjoyed. But obviously, I needed a Saturday to recover.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I could see that. But, it is great. I mean, great to see such a large event happening in Chennai in first place. Been there 20 years. I think this is one of the largest event I've attended, from SaaS. Amazingly done. Avinash and his team did a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
And all of that. Having said that, Ramesh, I just want to take a step back. I just want to ask you, hard question, being a founder. It's just not about SaaSBOOMi, right? But in general, how do you look at these events? Now that it's coming back, a lot of happening. I think every day we see a new event. I mean, if you're tempted to go do an early subscription, all of that, it became like another subscription today, right? Now, let's discuss, like, how do you look at it? Like, how do you make it effective? In fact, the whole week we're pretty busy.
Yeah.
It shouldn't become a busy job as well. At the end of the day, there are like 100 other things to be done as a startup founder. How do you basically make an event effective for you? Right? What do you do? Or what is your approach? Or how should we approach it? Right? Can you just kind of lay it down? And I want to just discuss like, hey, how do you even choose an event? For example, because this is what is probably going in our mind as well, right? You could pick up next SaaSter and few other events which are all SaaS events, or would you go about doing very niche, the workshop with CMOs and the social media managers? I think in your case, you're also building a community, right?
Right.
So how do you make these choices, right? These are also events because there are also these micro events coming in. Where we do the road shows with, let's say, 20 people, CMOs or social media managers for dinner, or would you do those kind of events, like 10 of them, or let's see how we can make these larger events effective, right? Let's start with these larger events, right? How do you first pick up an event?
That's a very good question to start with. So it depends on what we've spoken about this in the past, or what is going to be your sell motion. Who do you sell to?
Okay.
Right? So I think that has been very clear. We've spoken about it in the past. If it's a very B2B kind of a selling process, right? That's where intimacy comes into play, which means round tables, dinners, the fine dines, and that's an event by itself. Right? It does involve time, it does involve significant amount of investment that you're going to be there. But that's only if you are selling, if your motion of selling is very B2B in style. Okay? That's purely relationship building and nothing else. Okay? You cannot go and pitch your product in those, right? You're just trying to have a conversation about the industry, about what's going on around, what's their take, right? And the idea is, how can you familiarize yourself, your product, your company with the group, a peer group that you're in.
So one is, what you're saying is ability to socialize.
Absolutely, right? And how much time, and that's important for every founder to be there, put themselves out there. The other side of the events are scale events, where the idea, I clearly don't know, and we can talk about this, is how do you make yourself relevant if you want to be in a crowd of 1,500 people?
Correct.
Right? So it's not easy, because you are one amongst the 1,500 who also want to pitch your product to each other and try to find out should that even be an objective, is something that we need to question. It also has another part where there are a lot of speakers, and you've been wanting to meet these speakers, and there's no better way than you seeing them face to face. Here is your chance to go and meet them. There is a third way of, if there are investors, potential investors coming in that you want to go and pitch, that's the third piece. Now, with these three in mind, I don't think you just buy a ticket for such an event
and then show
up there and you think you can achieve any of this. You will achieve zilch. You will achieve nothing. And that's my opinion.
Okay. In fact, Ramesh, just as you mentioned those 3 points, very clearly summarized, to the extent where there were very interesting ideas where there were founders who were wearing shirts with a QR code.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? People come with very amazing ideas. But maybe between you and I, we met like close to 100 plus founders, right? Pitching something or other, right? For themselves, or even we could pitch them. But I don't see any conversation after that happening. Right? Because people have to go to their day job because they're already overwhelmed on what has happened. They met like overwhelming people here. They go back. And most of the people who were here were all founders who were trying to pitch in and do some, demand gen as well. Now, I think this is I'm going to see what you think as well. You cannot look at these events as a demand gen events.
No, it's not.
It is, like you said, it has to be a socializing, networking event, period. Stop there. You can probably make some connects, which you have to go back and do a diligent follow.
Right.
That's one way of looking at it, right? You also mentioned that if you just buy a ticket and then show up, it's going to be absolute waste of time.
Absolutely.
Now, let's discuss how do you make it effective. So if I cannot just get the ticket and then show up there, what should I do then?
So the first point that you said, right, QR codes on a t-shirt, while it looks fancy, you get to talk about it because you clearly remember that. If imagine 1,500 QR codes over there, you're not going to be scanning every QR code to analyze.
Correct.
Problem number one. 1,500 founders, 90% of them are early stage.
Yes.
Right? So you want to pitch your product to, see, there is no brand over here. If you have 1,500 SaaS companies, not all of them are brand established. You're trying to just begin somewhere. So there is no recall of brand either. So there is no way, I think, that you should pitch your product to any coming there, any founder coming there. It's very difficult.
And also, you're basically very important point on this. Everybody is busy there, coming in there. They try to be as social as possible. They listen to you. They go back. they have busy lives, and they don't, I think there's like a lull after that for a couple of weeks, right? Which means that if you think you've done like, let's say 20 demos in these meetings, you're up for disappointment because none of the guys who did a demo will show up.
And you should also understand that physically it's very tiring. You're meeting tons of people. So I cannot take any demo in my head to kind of go back. Like it's
How do we then solve it?
So that's a great point. I think the preparation or to achieve anything in these events doesn't start on the day or at the time you meet. It starts maybe 3 to 6 months even earlier.
Or 3 to 6 months.
Given the magnanimity of the crowd. So a lot of, I think we started off with what's the ROI for the organizers? What's the ROI for this? Imagine you have a booth therein.
Yeah.
Like how do you get everyone, 1,500 people will probably look at your booth. How many of them register what the product is and how you want to buy? You can't have 1,500 booths either, right? If it doesn't allow for it. Therefore, the preparation needs to happen 3 to 6 months even before.
Yeah, I think the booth is another topic.
Yeah, booth is completely different.
But as a founder, what you're saying is that, hey, if you're coming there, founder, or you are part of the founding member, coming to one of these events, there's going to be SaaSBOOMi London, there's like, the SaaS Summit and all of that stuff coming in. What you're saying is you're doing a preparation.
Yes.
Right? So how do you prepare? How do I even know that you are attending, let's say, the SaaS London?
Oh, right? That's even second order of if I want to know if you're there. You got to obviously go by the brand of the event.
Okay.
So let's assume it is SaaSBOOMi or Web Summit. You know that the relevant crowd comes. You know that founders are here. And if you're building for founders, if you're, your product is very relevant for your founders to kind of understand it, you should be a part of it. Right?
Okay.
SaaSter, any SaaS company out there who are probably building products, you should be there. Okay. What does preparation mean? Now, if you want to make a point and if you want people to listen to you, the best way is to get a speaking slot.
Okay, that's for the events.
That's for the events, right? So
go early, get a speaking slot.
Get
That's
a
the best
speaking
case.
slot, right? We're not even touching about financial commitments right now. Let's assume you have the money to do everything. So do you have the ability to get a speaker slot?
Okay.
If you get a speaker slot, you kind of identify what you're going to speak about. You can't be about demoing your product.
Yeah. It's a thought leadership.
It's a thought leadership. You blend it,
Excellent.
right? And you get 1,000, if not 1,500, you'll at least get 200 people to listen to in that session.
Okay, that's more of the startup branding and the founder brand.
That is startup branding, and that is
Excellent.
You can't even establish a brand there because it's so young, right?
Yeah, at least you can just give a voice there. People will notice that somebody is there new, right? That is
correct.
Good.
So
what else?
That's got to be fixed at least 3 months before. Otherwise, prices escalate.
Yeah, I think now that I came late, I'm not 3 months early, but I have, let's say, 6 weeks. 3 weeks, 6 weeks before I book the tickets. Now what should I do?
So if you're 6 weeks into it, forget getting a speaking slot.
Yes.
Or putting even a booth for the matter. You get down to the brass tacks of you've already bought in a high amount ticket.
Yes,
it's just 6 weeks down the line. You should clearly get to know that you should go behind the intelligence and get to know who are the people who are attending it. At least what's the ratio of founders to actual decision makers to even maybe if you want to meet a few investors, what's that ratio going to be?
So how many meetings should I target? If it's a 2-day event, should I target 2 to 3 meetings to be productive? Or should I do like volume game?
If you're going to meet investors, then I don't think you can meet more than 3 to 4 investors.
Okay.
Right? Because they're also tired and you just want to ensure that it's going to be crisp.
It's
for a future meeting. You're meeting so that you can
meet
to
again.
Next.
Okay. So what's the best way? I think, one of the best ways is that if you're starting up, you plan to attend a meeting, start using social and start promoting, I think talking about you being there. In fact, that's the best way and the easiest way to basically attract people towards you is that you first go tell to the world that you are showing up in the event.
Yeah, put it on the bio. I'm going to be
ahead
at
of the
SaaSter. Do you want to meet?
Correct. And if you have additional time yourself, or if you have an SDR person in your team, ask them to reach out to peers who are coming up.
Yeah.
Right? Fix some appointments before or after the meeting. Right? That's what I think.
Correct.
I would encourage you to do. And then social presence is fundamental for any founder or any team which is looking to go attend an event.
Absolutely.
End of the day, remember that you're going there to socialize. And the better ways to start socializing is having a social presence elevator. That's one of the most important things.
True.
The third thing is the booth, right? Let's assume that I have a booth. I in fact saw early stage startups having a booth. I also saw startups who basically have done PMF having the salespeople in the booth.
Yeah.
There are a few booths where we had the founders on the booth talking to hundreds of people. On the other side, there were products which were hit few million, PMF being done, had salespeople in the booth. So what should I do? Should I basically take a booth if I have the money and have myself placed there and meet hundreds of people? Or you tell me what I should do now.
I think the booth gives you the ability to stand out.
Okay.
Because it's there. Like beyond the QR codes on the t-shirt, your brand is actually out there and people are going to read what your brand does.
Okay.
That's point one.
Okay.
So it's you get to the number of eyeballs that you want to get. Second is if you're a well-known brand already, then people will come to your booth to kind of understand, hey, I want to buy this product right now. I have commercial intent, but either I have not been able to get through sales or probably the price is too high. So you actually get to meet a salesperson and negotiate, probably negotiate there.
Okay.
Right? So right at the bottom of the funnel, for a bigger brand, it works. But for brands who are just trying to establish themselves, it's still high on the top of the funnel there.
Okay. It's more about visibility.
It's more visibility. Okay. So you indulge in different types of activities by giving out a swag, or you kind of have a dinner also being generated and say, hey, come to our booth. If you think you're my prospect, you have the ability to hand over an invitation to say, I have a special dinner going on. We would love to have you. So you have that one-on-one connect.
Excellent.
You cannot do with anyone. So, but you play your tricks.
But I think expectation in terms of revenue should be low, is what.
Absolutely.
Okay, because I've seen people, and I've had the same expectation in the past, where the moment I put both, I spend, let's say, $5,000, $10,000. I expect to take the money back.
Impossible. That's not going to be possible.
So that expectation, what is expectation when I do this booth?
So, Sri, let's go back to what SaaS buying is all about, right? People in SaaS know that the buying cycle is going to be long. And I said it's not going to be unlike retail. Hey, I come to your stall, I like this piece of t-shirt, I'm going to buy it right now.
Okay.
That is in a very retail kind of scenario. In B2B, we know that the sales cycle is long, but here is a solid touch point that you get.
Okay.
I get to meet this person in flesh and blood.
Okay.
And then you probably can take the relationship forward based on the mutual interest levels. So cutting your chances of winning cuts down to a lesser time period and nothing else.
So what you're saying is that if you're a early stage startup and you're looking to have a booth, keep the expectation as low as possible, because the reality is that it's very hard to translate the footfall in your booth into revenue, maybe right after the event.
Oh, totally.
So that's a whole, because I think, this is also from what I've seen in the past, is that the booth will maybe translate into business when your ACVs are high and you're doing enterprise software, where the crowd is an enterprise crowd like CIO. I think that's another aspect of picking up which event would you send a sales guy, and which event you will send a salesperson, or which event you will send you'll have the founder themselves.
Correct.
Is another
be a
thing.
part of it.
So that is another call you have to make. You cannot basically expect be in a very peer group event and then expect revenue out of that.
Oh, it's not good, right?
That's another big I would say an important point to note is that if you're attending a peer group event, like a SaaS event where I meet all the SaaS people, and then expect revenue out of that, that's like really hard.
To me personally, Sri, SaaSBOOMi was a place to have fun.
It was a place to have fun. Okay.
Right. I did see I felt happy because it was like a Freshworks alumni party as well.
You were happy because of it was in Chennai.
True that, and I didn't have to travel too much. But I don't think we had the even mindset to go and say, okay, let's go get some new business.
Amazing.
So I think
so just to summarize, Ramesh, right? Let's say I'm sure you're also planning up your events for the rest of the year, right? From what I heard, I think what you're saying is that, hey, prepare at least 2 to 3 months ahead. Try to see if you can get a speaking slot.
Correct.
Looks like, Ramesh, you should do it for next time for SaaSBOOMi as well. But in general, try to see if you can get a speaking slot.
Yeah.
Right? Second, if you don't get the speaking slot, be socially present.
Absolutely.
About you attending the meeting.
I think
SaaSter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Even before the event, the social presence should be a lot more. Because once you build yourself up there, people are obviously wanting to go and meet you.
Correct.
So prepare for that. Have your calendar in place. Have the ability so that people can reach out to you way in advance. So preparation happens there.
And again, optimize for the quality meetings. Don't go behind meeting hundreds of people, but I think look for 3, 4, maybe like 5 meetings, which are high quality with very clear outcome. Could be your VC, could be a potential customer, could be even peers for networking. But you should basically be having those meetings in the calendar before you get into the event.
Correct.
Right? Don't show up in the event with your pass and expect the meetings to happen because everybody is busy there.
Right.
And what else, Ramesh? Anything else?
I think the another piece of it is the after party.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Before you go to the after party, there is the booth, right? If you're basically on the booth, the expectation is not to translate that into revenue. But mostly brand and exposure.
And that is it. It is about brand recall. And finally, the after party, right? Typically, what we would also see in a event like this is if you're getting 1,500 people of your same industry in the same roof, you have the ability to pick and choose people to come for a more intimate setting, right? If you have the money, I think that's a great way to have spark really good quality conversations.
Yes,
Sponsors them, right? And then you are able to, that's a networking event. The networking event is not the event per se, but it's the after party.
Yeah, I thought, Ramesh, everybody's going towards sustainable growth. Looks like you're giving a way to divert your Google money. Anyway, we'll stop here, but this is amazing conversation, Ramesh. Ramesh has amazing ideas to kind of divert your, cash flow into spending money on after party. So,
I mean, if you need business, you got to spend money as well.
Amazing. So
part of the market.
This is great conversation, Ramesh. I mean, I kind of look at events in the past, right? From the new events after the COVID, also is becoming more social and networking in nature.
Correct.
Less of ROI. So if you're a startup who's looking for exposure and visibility, I think you have to make the trade-offs and also pick the people you want to meet much ahead of time.
Much ahead of time.
Right? Amazing and great conversation, Ramesh.
Likewise.
Looking forward. And like always, do drop your, the comments. And if you have any topics, we started getting few topic ideas from the audience. Please keep it coming. Please add your comments with the topics you think we should talk next. And we'll be happy to chat.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching this episode of Reset to Zero and look forward to many more.
Thank you.
So, thank you.